Inside the Magic, show number 320 for May 22nd, 2011. Inside the Magic is brought to you by Magical Travel. Don't wait to book your Disney cruise vacation. Space is limited, and you can receive free shipboard credits when you book with Magical Travel, so make sure to book them with them soon. Summer is fast approaching. You can call them today at 866-207-8387 or visit them online at magicaltravel.com, and you can receive a free price quote. And be sure to mention Inside the Magic to receive your free Disney gift card for qualifying bookings when you book your Disney vacation with Magical Travel. And by listeners like you, thanks very much to everybody who contributes to the show, be it a one-time donation or recurring monthly donations over at InsideTheMagic.net or clicking through any of our affiliate links. It all helps out the show, and we support it greatly. And now, let's start off the show with our trip around the world. So a whole lot to talk about this week. It has been a very, very busy week. And but before we get to all of the news this week, I do want to mention we are live, of course, on YouTube once again. Haven't been doing that every single week, but been trying to do it as often as possible. And this week we are once again live. We're not going to be recording the entire show live on here. We're going to have some exclusive parts for the audio podcast and then some of the video portions. So just stay tuned to get all of the information about that. But speaking of YouTube, I wanted to bring up a point real quick. I haven't done a video podcast in quite a long time, and I've been thinking, on YouTube, I'm now posting 1080p videos of everything that we're doing, which is far better quality than anything I would be releasing as a video podcast on iTunes or, via RSS feeds and that sort of thing. And I'm not sure that video podcasts are necessarily useful anymore. It could be that those low-quality downloads are not necessary when you've got phones and iPods and everything that can just stream off of YouTube. It seems like it would be a duplication of effort for me to post it there and post it here, and it's just easier to put it on youtube.com/Inside the Magic, and it's better quality and easier to access, in my opinion, there. So if anyone has any thoughts on that, certainly weigh in. Let me know if you want more video podcasts or if just streaming, putting the videos on YouTube is sufficient. Also, one more bit of Inside the Magic news here before we jump into the Disney news, and that is over at InsideTheMagic.net. I had some issues with our photo gallery, and so I've actually replaced it recently at InsideTheMagic.net/photos. It's a brand new gallery that's still a bit of a work in progress. I got some tweaking to do with it, but I put it up late last night, and the new version should be a lot faster. It's a very much easier to load all of the photos. So check that out over at InsideTheMagic.net/photos. And hopefully you'll enjoy everything that is available over there as far as our photos go, which we have hundreds and hundreds of photos of everything that we go to. So with all of that said, now let's jump into this week's Disney news. Of course, the biggest bit of Disney news this week is the grand opening of Star Tours 2, or Star Tours The Adventures Continue, or Star Tours 3D, whatever you want to call it, over at Disney's Hollywood Studios out here in Florida. We're going to have much more from the grand opening of Star Tours later in the show, but I certainly wanted to mention it as the top news story here. Actually, out in California, Disneyland has been soft opening Star Tours there as well to the public. First, they had cast member previews. Then yesterday, they did, actually a couple days ago, they did open it to the public. I read online today that they weren't soft opening, so it's kind of hit or miss at this point. Officially at Disneyland, the new Star Tours is going to open on June 3rd. So between now and then, it you might get lucky, you might get to see it, and other times, you might not. So you just have to play it by ear. That's what a soft opening is all about. But in the midst of all of the Star Tours fun, there was some other really big Disney news to come out this week, and it was basically the full unveiling of the new Disney Fantasy cruise ship that's going to be launching in March of 2012. Now, this new Disney Fantasy ship is going to be a 4,000-passenger ship, very similar to the recently launched Disney Dream, which we, of course, covered extensively here on Inside the Magic. But, there will be certainly plenty of differences, and that is what Disney really went into describing all of the details this week during a special press briefing. And I want to run through all the new fun amenities and restaurants and everything that's going to be aboard the Disney Fantasy real quick for you here. So first up, at the Animator's Palette restaurant, which is a staple aboard the Disney Cruise Line. It's going to be a little bit different aboard the Disney Fantasy. There's going to be a new dinner show called Animation Magic, and this new dinner show will feature Sorcerer Mickey on the walls, who will come alive during dinner and transform black and white Mickey drawings into full color. There will also be a Be Our Guest montage of food-related Disney fun and a whole lot more surprises. So some really exciting dining opportunities there. Of course, on the Disney Dream, Animator's Palette features Turtle Talk with Crush. So now on the Fantasy, it's going to be a bit different. Then moving on from there, continuing with dining aboard the Disney Fantasy. In the Disney Fantasy, there's going to be a Royal Court restaurant. On the Disney Dream, it's the Royal Palace. Here, it's going to be the Royal Court. Very similar restaurant. It's going to be different decor slightly, but still a Disney princess theme. But a big difference is going to be the Adult Entertainment District aboard the Disney Fantasy. It's actually going to be European in theme. It's called La Piazza at Europa. It's going to be inspired by Italian cities. And throughout the whole Europa Adult Entertainment District, there will be a number of different adults-only options to enjoy aboard the ship. One of them is going to be a pub called O'Gill's Pub. Of course, it's an Irish pub, and there'll be plenty of Irish festivities going on in there. In addition, if you like the pink champagne lounge aboard the Disney Dream, something similar aboard the Fantasy is going to be called Ooh La La. And as you might imagine, it's going to be French-themed. It's inspired by a French boudoir, and it will have plenty of chaise lounges to lounge on and really enjoy. Then another popular feature, another popular lounge aboard the Disney Dream was the Skyline Lounge. Well, there's going to be a version of that aboard the Disney Fantasy, but rather than United States skylines looking out the virtual windows day and night, you're going to have European city skylines, including Paris, London, Barcelona, Athens, and St. Petersburg. Another adults-only lounge for the Disney Fantasy is going to be called The Tube, and that's going to be inspired by the London Underground. A lot of very unique and very red decor in there. Moving away from the adults-only portion of the Fantasy into the entertainment, very popular musical is going to be coming to the Disney Cruise Line, to the Disney Fantasy, and that is Aladdin the musical. Of course, the musical that is hugely popular over at Disney California Adventure, one of my favorite stage shows Disney has ever put on, and a version of that is now coming to the cruise line. It's not going to be 100% identical to the one at California Adventure. There's going to be a new song and a few other changes, but of course you're going to have Aladdin flying his magic carpet overhead and the genie, and a whole lot of fun on that show. For the first time ever, the Disney Cruise Line aboard the Disney Fantasy is going to be getting a Bibbidi Bobbidi Boutique, which is something straight out of Disney's theme parks. It's where young ones can be transformed into Disney princesses and the like. There will actually be Captain Mickey Mouse and Princess Minnie Mouse packages. And then on the special Pirates Nights aboard the ship, the Bibbidi Bobbidi Boutique will actually be transformed into the Pirates League, and there, of course, everybody will be able to be transformed into pirates to enjoy all of the Pirates in the Caribbean festivities. Now, every Disney cruise line has a special icon bronze statue in its main area, in the atrium area, and the Disney Fantasy is no exception. The character that will be represented on the Disney Fantasy is none other than Minnie Mouse, and she'll be called Mademoiselle Minnie Mouse. The actual statue itself is still a work in progress, but It definitely looking like it's going to be a whole lot of fun, a whole lot of unique opportunities aboard the Disney Fantasy, everything that was really great about the Disney Dream, and then so much more in a way of new decor. Of course, the Disney Fantasy is going to have its maiden voyage at the very end of March 2012, and it's going to have a mixture of stops throughout its various voyages, including St. Martin, St. Thomas, Grand Cayman, Costa Maya, Cozumel, San Juan, Puerto Rico, and Disney's private Bahamas Island Castaway Key. So plenty of fun there to be had aboard the Disney Fantasy. You can head over to InsideTheMagic.net to see all of the artwork that Disney released about everything that I just talked about and a few additional details. And as the date gets closer, we'll continue to stay on top of everything Disney Fantasy. This week I put out a fun video and article over at InsideTheMagic.net recapping the recent Great Disney Scavenger Hunt out here at Walt Disney World. Of course, last week on show 319 I talked all about my experiences in getting third place at the Great Disney Scavenger Hunt, but I sort of included some photos and, as I said, a video of the results announcement over at the website. So if you want to see that, go ahead and head on over there and check it out. Now let's turn away from Disney here for just a moment to the world of Universal Orlando, where there were some big announcements this week just before Star Tours opened up at Disney, the morning before. Actually, Universal had planned its big attraction announcements, and it was pretty much as everybody thought it would be. In a special media-only Universal webcast, Universal Orlando announced that Jimmy Neutron's Nicktoon Blast at Universal Studios Florida is indeed going to be replaced by an attraction based on the popular Universal film Despicable Me. Jimmy Neutron's Nicktoon Blast will be permanently closing on August 18th of this year, and the Despicable Me attraction will be opening in 2012. It's going to be a 3D film, which the Hanna-Barbera and Jimmy Neutron films, they're kind of motion simulator films, were not. So now they're adding 3D into the attraction. Of course, you're going to follow the main character of Despicable Me, Gru, as well as his daughters on a new adventure. And during the new Despicable Me ride, there will be the guests watching the ride will be transformed into those little yellow minions that are so popular from the film, and the ride will conclude with a minion dance party as the finale. Throughout the ride, you'll be going to various locations, including Gru's lair, as well as his secret laboratory, and that is where guests will be transformed into minions. In addition, during the same webcast, Universal made another announcement, and personally, I kind of like this announcement better than Despicable Me. I actually have not seen Despicable Me, so maybe once I go see that film, I'll be more excited about that attraction, but I really love the Amazing Adventures of Spider-Man attraction over at Islands of Adventure, and Universal announced this week a major upgrade coming to that popular attraction in the form of new digital projections, 4K HD projections, which is super high-quality, high-resolution projections. And in addition to upgrading the projections to digital in the attraction, that's not all. More importantly, they're going to re-render the entire ride with new higher resolution textures and new lighting, and just make the whole thing look better than ever. They're adding new details in there, though they haven't said what. They said they'll leave it up to the fans to decide what those new details are. So all of that will be completed next year sometime in 2012. So there's your offerings for what's coming to Universal Orlando in the near future. Let's turn out to California now, over at Disney California Adventure, where Disney announced a new feature for the ongoing Electronica nighttime parties. They've had sort of kiosks there where you could play the Tron Evolution video game. Well, now they're announcing Tron Evolution tournaments, in which the winner of each night's tournament will actually win Tron Legacy, what they're calling the Ultimate Blu-ray Experience, so the big Blu-ray combo pack. It's happening on 20 specific game contest nights, and I'll tell you those. Actually, it's been going on for a couple of nights now. May 13th, 14th, 15th, and 20th and 21st have already happened. It's also going to be happening today, the 22nd, as well as the 27th, 28th, 29th, and 30th of this month. Then moving into June, it will be June 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, 10th, 11th, 12th, 13th, and 14th. So if you want to win Tron Legacy on Blu-ray in a big combo pack, and you're really good at the Tron Legacy or Tron Evolution video game, then you're going to want to head over to California Adventure and try your hand at competing. Also over at California Adventure, as of yesterday, 2 days ago, when Pirates of the Caribbean on Stranger Tides premiered at the box offices, World of Color, the nighttime show at California Adventure, was updated to include an extended new Pirates of the Caribbean segment. I haven't seen it yet. Of course, I'm out here in Orlando, but when I go out there in less than 2 weeks, I will definitely check out the new segment, and I'll give my thoughts on the update to World of Color then. Let's move to the world of movies now with a special upcoming event from D23 out in California at the El Capitan Theater. They are having a special event for 20th anniversary of The Rocketeer. It's happening on June 21st, and this week they've announced all of the special guests that will be at this event. It's going to include actor Bill Campbell, who's the star of The Rocketeer. The whole thing will be moderated and hosted by director Kevin Smith. But in addition, other guests that will be showing up will be makeup artist Rick Baker, as well as Danny Bilson, Paul DeMail, illustrator William Stout. Tickets are currently available for that event, so if you're a fan of The Rocketeer, it definitely sounds like a really, really exciting time. Let's move to the world of comic books now, and I'm really looking forward to this one. Boom Studios has been coming out with all kinds of great comics recently, bringing back Darkwing Duck and Rescue Rangers. Well, now Kaboom, which is the kids' version of Boom, formerly known as Boom Kids, is launching just a couple of days from now on May 25th, their new DuckTales comic. There's going to be multiple covers released, and it's going to follow, of course, Scrooge McDuck and Huey, Dewey, Louie, Webigail, Launchpad McQuack, and the whole DuckTales universe through new adventures in comic book form. And it's actually written by the creator of Epic Mickey, the video game, Warren Spector. So a lot of fun to be had on this new DuckTales adventure beginning May 25th at your local comic book stores. Now, I did mention Pirates of the Caribbean on Stranger Tides recently opened in theaters on Friday, and this weekend, of course, it was number one at the box office, so you would certainly expect that. And apparently the estimates for the weekend is $90.1 million for this fourth Pirates of the Caribbean film. And later this week, just after the news, I'm going to have my full review of this film. But in short, I really liked it. Continuing in movie news, the actor who is going to play the Lone Ranger in Disney's upcoming Lone Ranger movie has been announced. His name is Armie Hammer, and he was previously seen as the Winklevoss twins in The Social Network. He's going to play opposite Johnny Depp as Tonto, but apparently Tonto is actually kind of going to be the main character of the Lone Ranger, which is a little bit strange, but I guess Johnny Depp really wanted to spin that Tonto character and make him the focus of the whole thing. Of course, with Johnny Depp playing the role, I'm sure it will be a highly entertaining film. It's scheduled for release sometime in 2012, probably fall of 2012. Turning to television news now, the release date for Disney's new, pretty much an instant classic holiday short, Prep and Landing, has been announced for home release. It arrives on DVD on November 22nd of this year, just in time for the holiday season, and there will be some bonus features on the Prep and Landing home release. It will include what they're calling stocking stuffer shorts, which will be Tiny's Big Adventure. They describe that as the assistant to the North Pole Christmas Eve command center is trying to make a pot of coffee and in the process accidentally ruins the elves' break room. That sounds like a new short. In addition, they'll include the short that was aired on TV this past holiday season, Operation Secret Santa, in which lead elves Lanny and Wayne are sent on a special assignment by Mrs. Claus, who is voiced by Betty White, into Santa Claus's office. In addition, on the DVD, there will be the Prep and Landing Kringle Academy training videos, elfdate.com / as well as the Fruitcake Factory and Spa Navidad. Sounds like those will be commercials of sorts. There'll be a welcome to Kringle Academy, some equipment training, and some Academy do's and don'ts. So a lot of fun little, tongue-in-cheek comedy bonus features. So if you're a big fan of the Disney holiday short that first premiered a couple of years ago, Prep and Landing, then you're definitely going to want to check this release out. Now, coming, last bit of news here, kind of an interesting, different sort of news. Up in Massachusetts, in the East Cambridge area, Walt Disney Imagineering formerly had a research facility there, and that was about 11 years ago. Now, that facility was basically the place where they did all the research necessary to create animatronics such as Lucky the Dinosaur, as well as the Pal Mickey, which has come and gone in the theme parks. That was sort of a lockdown environment. Even though though it was research in a university sort of environment, they didn't really release all of the research that they had come up with there. However, now they have announced they're going to open up a new research facility in the same area in East Cambridge, Massachusetts, and the new one, they say, will be much more open. They are going to do research there still, Disney-related research, but they're going to try to be a little bit more open about what they actually include and release from that facility. So that should be a pretty interesting place to watch. And that is it for your news from around the world this week. Of course, you can always head to InsideTheMagic.net between episodes of this show to stay up to date on all the latest Disney and theme park news. This week's tip is sent in from Calvin from Georgia, who writes, a few weeks ago I listened to your guest segment on dining at Victoria and Albert's. My wife and I had the opportunity to eat there in 2009. It was a wonderful meal and experience that we still talk about to this day. But I wanted to share a quick money-saving tip for people considering eating at Victoria and Albert's and other high-end Walt Disney World restaurants. It's called Tables in Wonderland. For less than $100, annual pass holders for Walt Disney World can get a membership for a year that saves 20% off dining at Victoria and Albert's, California Grill, and many other restaurants around the resort. Add that to the discount you get on merchandise as annual pass holders, and it is a great way to save some money for a trip. And as always, there are things to be aware of, so contact your favorite Disney travel agent or Disney with questions, but I found the discount to be worth it and even better and more flexible than Disney's standard meal plans. Calvin, thanks very much for that tip. Tables in Wonderland is one of those things that I have looked into briefly many times, never actually gone ahead and signed up, but certainly seems like something that if you dine a lot at Disney, especially in their table service locations, it could very well be worth the extra investment. Everyone else out there, email your tips into tips@InsideTheMagic.net.
Inside the Magic is proud to welcome you to the Great Movie Review.
And now it is time for a completely spoiler-free review of the fourth Pirates film, Pirates of the Caribbean, on Stranger Tides, which of course hit theaters this Friday. I was able to attend a preview screening several days ago before it went everywhere, and it seems like critics, for whatever reason, are really not liking this film all that much, and I actually thought it was very, very good. It's an adventure film, of course, has a bit of a smaller budget and smaller cast than the recent two Pirates films. Really tight-knit story, a lot of subtle humor. I wouldn't say it was necessarily as good as the first film, but definitely far better than the confusing, kind of convoluted number 2 and number 3 in the series. I was really not a fan of number 3 of the Pirates of the Caribbean series, so this one really brought back the whole excitement for me. Of course, the story of this fourth Pirates of the Caribbean film on Stranger Tides centers around none other than Captain Jack Sparrow, who is seeking out the Fountain of Youth, which sounds like an exciting opportunity for old Captain Jack. And this film really is the story of Captain Jack Sparrow. Now, there's plenty of supporting cast that really do a great job in the movie. Of course, we have Hector Barbosa, played by Jeffrey Rush. He's back in an exciting new role with a whole new backstory behind him. And then we have the new character this time around of actually several new characters. We have Penelope Cruz playing Angelica, who's a fun new character, as well as Blackbeard, Captain Blackbeard, played by Ian McShane. It's a great supporting cast with a lot of fun moments throughout the film, but it really is the story of Jack Sparrow. There's no question about that. Beyond this supporting cast, the pirate crew that everybody has gotten familiar with in the past several films is really gone from this one. In fact, the only pirate that you recognize really from the past films is Gibbs. all the rest of the crew, Pintel and Rigetti and all of them, are not to be found here. Instead, there is a new pirate crew. It's a Blackbeard's crew aboard his ship, but they're not really terribly memorable roles. I mean, they support the story and they serve their purpose in the whole grand scheme of the new film, but they're not going to be the same sort of characters that you remember like from the other films. But that's all right, because as I said, it is the story of Captain Jack this time around, and that's why everybody goes to a Pirates of the Caribbean film, to see Jack Sparrow. Of course, other main characters, they're still supporting characters to the new film, are the characters of Philip and the mermaid Serena. They're very important to the story in this new Pirates of the Caribbean on Stranger Tides film, but ultimately they're still minor characters. They don't have a ton of screen time. They just kind of move the story along as necessary, and I can't say it enough. This movie is just about Captain Jack Sparrow. It's his story. He even takes the scenes on his own. Sometimes, you'll find some scenes in the film where Johnny Depp just sets out completely on his own, and you just watch Jack Sparrow in action with all of his humor and unique style of adventure along various quests to find the Fountain of Youth. And now in this new movie, you won't find any of the absurd scenes or slapstick humor or some of the weirdness and crazy voodoo and all of that was in the previous film that really confused and really bogged down the story. It's no fruit on skewers, no cannibals, no none of that craziness. Even some of the more supernatural elements of this film are kept to a real minimum to just kind of move the story along. It's kept witty. There's a lot of fast-paced jokes, even a whole bunch of innuendo between Jack Sparrow and the character of Angelica, some backstory to be explored there. There are some supernatural elements to be found in this new Pirates of the Caribbean film, especially related around Blackbeard, but even though they're kind of unexplained in the film, it almost doesn't even matter, because really it's just a story, a fun little story about adventure. It really feels a lot more like the first film. A lot of the scenes have small groups of characters, going through a jungle or on a ship or in a cave or on a beach, but not loaded with special effects. There's definitely special effects when necessary here and there, but it's not like the last two films where there was computer graphics everywhere. It's definitely more enjoyable, more live action to watch. And also different about this film, for the first time ever in the Pirates of the Caribbean series, it's the first to be shot and shown in 3D, which I did see the film in 3D. It wasn't too bad. It wasn't as bad as some of the other films I've seen in 3D. It wasn't, hugely darkened by the polarized lenses, but it also wasn't necessarily, it wasn't necessary. There are definitely a couple of fun moments that the 3D enhanced the film, which was good. But for the most part, it just caused a little bit of eye strain, and I wouldn't necessarily recommend seeing the film in 3D. If 3D is the only option to you, or you're really a big fan of 3D, you will enjoy seeing it in 3D. I didn't mind it at all, but if I had the choice, I wouldn't pay extra to see this new film in 3D. Good to see in this film were that there were indeed ride references to the ride that really inspired the whole Pirates of the Caribbean series, the movie series, and so that's, it seemed to have been missing somewhat in the last couple of films, so I was happy to see those ride references return here, even if just scattered, sort of, littered in here and there. A couple of the scenes in this new Pirates film may be too intense for younger viewers, especially some scenes you might not necessarily expect to be really intense, but for the most part, it is just a fun, adventurous, exciting film with fun characters, good writing, like I said, a lot of witty jokes that are not slapsticky and not silly. They're just good, solid entertainment. Don't go expecting this monumental film like the last two. It's more like the first, and I really, really enjoyed it. So Pirates of the Caribbean on Stranger Tides, of course, in theaters now. Anybody who was a fan of the first film should enjoy this one, and if you like the last two somehow, then you'll probably, hopefully, like this one as well. So everybody watching on YouTube, this is where I said, whoops, there goes the microphone. This is where things will be a little bit different this time around. For the remainder of this week's show, I'm actually going to share a whole lot of audio from the grand opening of Star Tours over at Disney's Hollywood Studios. They've got the grand opening ceremony itself, which you can find a video of right on our YouTube channel, but I'm going to share the binaural audio of that. I've also got two Q&A sessions, one from the midnight meetup of Star Tours, and another one that was was a small press conference just after the grand opening. Now, I haven't posted videos of those, so if you want to hear those Q&A sessions, they're with Disney Imagineers. You're going to have to tune into the audio podcast. In addition, I've got interviews with Imagineer Eric Jacobson, Imagineer Kathy Rogers, and C-3PO himself, Anthony Daniels, and I have posted videos of those interviews already on our YouTube channel as well as over at InsideTheMagic.net. So again, all of that's going to be included in the audio portion of this podcast here instead on this video portion, since I don't want to just sit here and play audio for everybody. That doesn't, it's not very conducive to the use of video here on YouTube. This is where, perhaps I'll take a couple of questions real quick from the chat room, and then we'll shut all of this down and I'll wrap up the audio version of the show by inserting all of that extras. Of course, in addition to all that, I've got plenty more Star Tours videos that you can enjoy on our YouTube channel and at InsideTheMagic.net. Not only do I have that grand opening, but just after the grand opening was George Lucas and Bob Iger were there. They led a Star Wars character-filled processional through Disney's Hollywood Studios. So we've got that video. We've got walkthroughs of the queue of Star Tours, the updated queue, as well as a close-up look at one of the droids that's just absolutely hilarious in the queue. We've got some on-ride footage. We've got footage of the destinations that you go to, all the different Star Wars destinations. I just posted very late last night, a video of the dance-off with the Star Wars stars this year, which is huge, on the new stage in front of the Sorcerer Hat. Really fun show, so you can go watch that video, and a video wrap-up of the midnight meetup for Star Tours as well. So a whole lot of fun and excitement for Star Tours this week. So right now, before I finish up here, let me kind of just peek over here at the chat room. Is there anything that anybody wants to talk about here for a couple of minutes before I wrap up doing this video portion of the show? Feel free to fire any questions at me here, and I'll probably include this in the reposting. I do repost these live video shows as well on YouTube the day after we record, so that's today. So sometime tomorrow, Monday, I'll try to get it up, and I know I'm still having audio sync issues with my mouth, but when I do the repost, then it'll fix all of that. So, looking over at the chat room now, reading some questions that here. No, I am not going to record the entire Star Tours ride. There is no photography permitted inside Star Tours. The adventures continue. Through the queue is fine. The pre-show is fine. I have posted the whole pre-show, but however, once you get on the Star Speeder, the actual ride itself, well, first of all, it's in 3D. And that would be tough. It's bouncing around and all of that. But that aside, it is actually against Disney's rules to record in there. So that I will not be posting. I'm sure somebody out there will do it, and they'll break the rules. But I try to stick by Disney's rules. So I've posted their released official video from inside the cabin. So you can check that out. Let's see. One question from the chat room: is the simulator new or just reprogrammed? It is the same motion simulator that has been in Star Tours for many, many years. It has been improved. The last time, before Star Tours went down for this update, it was very rickety. It was very shaky. A lot of the walls were shaking and that kind of thing, and they have fixed all of that. It is a much smoother simulator attraction that is now timed perfectly with the various destinations you go to. So it is a good motion simulator. It feels modern. It doesn't feel like dated technology, but it is the same motion simulator. Let's see, more Star Tours questions here. Somebody says that somebody has already posted Star Tours on YouTube. I'm not surprised, so it's out there somewhere. Are there more droids that we haven't seen from your video? I've posted 2 queue walkthrough videos. One was footage that Disney released, and that didn't show everything in the queue. Then I went back through again and recorded a separate Star Tours queue video in which I showed everything in there, at least snippets of everything. So that is where you will see definitely everything that's available there. I did not record the entire loop of the one of the other droids. It's sort of a body scanning droid. Very funny. I heard it was voiced by Patrick Warburton. I did not record everything that droid said, but the luggage scanning droid is definitely the more exciting one. So, and other than that, those are really the only 2 major droid elements in the new Star Tours queue. any updates on the Monsters, Inc. coaster? No, that's one of those projects that Disney has never announced. It's always been rumor to go to Hollywood Studios, and it still is rumor. Right now, we're in kind of an interesting period in Disney theme parks. It's, Star Tours is now done here in Florida. There's a lot of work going on in California, a lot of work going on in Hong Kong. Of course, they're building Shanghai. And then out here, we've got Fantasyland going on at the Magic Kingdom, and that's it. So I wouldn't be surprised if another project was announced here. Would it be the Monsters, Inc. coaster? Probably not. I can't imagine the next major project to come to Walt Disney World would be another Hollywood Studios project, but I don't know. We'll just have to wait and see. Looking back at the chat room now, let's see some other questions. Someone asked from interviews, was there any indication of additional changes coming to Star Tours in years to come? That's one of those things where they said, yes, it's possible for more to be added. However, they're pretty extensive and pretty happy with what they came up with now for Star Tours. So, it's Disney likes to say that they, especially for video-based attractions, that they will update it in the future. Whether or not they actually do, it's hard to say. They did update it for Toy Story Mania, which they replaced one or two of the games there later on, and they have said that some other versions would pop up eventually. They've updated World of Color, which they said they would be doing. They've updated that twice now. They did a Tron bit, and now they're doing a Pirates bit. So it's not unheard of, not impossible that they'll be adding more to Star Tours, but I think that's a little more involved since they have to program the motion simulator. They need to have Anthony Daniels as C-3PO do his lines that relate to what's going on. It's much more than just slapping a new destination in there. So I personally don't foresee anything new coming to Star Tours in the near future, but down the road, it's entirely possible. The system can certainly take another update. So, someone in the chat room, Duffy1, says that they also added Tangled to World of Color as well. So another add-on to the great show at California Adventure. Looking back at the chat room now for some more questions. Do I think Space Mountain will undergo another major refurbishment because of it breaking down often? Space Mountain, if you're referring to Space Mountain out here in Florida, I can't imagine much changing there. I know they tried to update the systems there so that it wouldn't stop as much as it used to. It was a safety precaution that was kind of an overzealous safety precaution, I guess you could say. And I don't know anything about that at all. Do I see any more Star Wars-based attractions coming to the studios? George Lucas recently was quoted as saying he would love to have more Star Wars attractions with Disney, but he said there are no plans for that in the near future. There are rumors, of course, of a Star Wars land maybe taking over an area of Hollywood Studios, but it is all rumor, and those rumors have been around for quite a while. So, again, possible, but not anytime soon, and certainly no announcements have been made. No. Let's see. Someone in the chat room says, during the dedication of Star Tours The Adventures Continues, Vader said, "You haven't seen the last of me," and saying he was hinting at Star Wars Land. No, he had said, "You'll see me in the Anaheim system," which means he'll be out there in 2 weeks. I think it'll be part 2 of this dedication when Star Tours officially opens at Disneyland. That's the next time we will see Darth Vader, and we'll see what kind of an additional bit of fun will come out of the second opening for Star Tours. And definitely come back, stay tuned for that. I'll be out there to cover that opening as well. So we'll have to wait and see what Darth Vader has in store for us out there in California at Disneyland. Couple of more questions, then I'm going to get on with finishing up this week's show, putting it all together and getting it up online. I am going to be at Little Mermaid's opening in California Adventure. They've been doing cast member previews for that as well. I would imagine some soft openings for the public may happen soon. No guarantees, of course. The official opening being June 3rd. For that, and I will be out there. I will not be staying at the new Disneyland hotel rooms while I'm out there, though I hope to have a chance to peek in there and check them out, and I definitely am going to go around the new Disneyland hotel pool area and see all the monorail the blue and red monorail retro water slides and Trader Sam's and then all of the new additions to that whole area. Should be a lot of fun. I didn't mention it earlier. I probably should have in the news. Soundsational Parade's opening up just a couple of days from now, as well as Trader Sam's. So some fun things going on at Disneyland this coming week. A question about the expansion of Fantasyland, said to be starting to open in phases at the end of 2012 and then completed in 2013. How much one versus the other? Disney has not said which part will open in which phase. They've simply said that some will open near the end of 2012 and the rest in 2013. The way that they're doing construction right now, it's really hard to tell. I mean, certainly Be Our Guest restaurant looks way ahead of everything else. Little Mermaid ride is actually moving along pretty well. Storybook Circus area, no, not so much, but then again, they're not building as much over there from what we know. So we'll just have to. I'm guessing it's going to kind of go from left to right. Maybe we're going to see the Be Our Guest restaurant, and then kind of Little Mermaid, and then it's going to move over into Storybook Circus, and that's going to be perhaps the phases. But Disney has not said specifically any dates about anything opening in the new Fantasyland out here at Walt Disney World yet. The new, to answer a question in the chat room, the new Cars ride, Radiator Springs Racers and Cars Land will be opening in California Adventure next year in 2012. There's no opening date set, but I would imagine it's going to be right around this time of the year next year, so still a year away. Reading some more questions here in the chat room. Let's just take let's say two more, and then I will finish up working on this week's podcast. A question is, Peter Pan is officially getting an interactive queue. Not officially yet, but all signs seem to point to that out here at Walt Disney World. The filings for permits and construction and that sort of thing seem to indicate that the Skyway building in Fantasyland is going to be transformed into just restrooms, much like the Skyway building in Tomorrowland was, kind of taken down to a much smaller size, and then the existing restrooms in Fantasyland near Peter Pan will be transformed into part of the queue for Peter Pan, but Disney has not officially announced that. Of course, they never really officially announced any of their interactive queues. They did a little bit for Winnie the Pooh, but like Haunted Mansion, for example, they never really said anything about that. They just kind of did it. So it may just be one of those things that construction begins and ends and happens, and then there it is. Yes, to answer one more question here, they are having big openings for the rides in California on June 3rd. It's actually a big media event on June 2nd and 3rd. None of the openings, as far as I know, are open to the public. They're going to be kind of a little bit here, a little bit there. Really, for the media, there will be one for the Little Mermaid, one for Star Tours, one for Soundsational Parade, Mickey Soundsational Parade, and then a bit over at the Disneyland Hotel Pool area for all of that, and also a What's New, What's Next conference to describe everything that else is coming to a Disneyland resort. So all of that is going to happen on those dates, but I would not encourage anybody to try to see any of that necessarily. From what I've been told, it's going to be media-only events for all of that, and I'm not saying it's going to be impossible that there might be a public stage somewhere. I don't know right now, but as of now, as far as I know, it's media only for those openings. Of course, I'll be there, and hopefully they'll do some live streams like they did 2 days ago for Star Tours officially from Disney. But if not, I'll certainly be recording it and posting it shortly after it happens. So you can enjoy that. So I think we'll go ahead and wrap up this week's live event here. Sort of a different way of doing this, and this may be how I'm going to do this in the future, because usually the back half of the show is not necessarily the best video sort of entertainment. It's a lot of pre-recorded segments or, live recordings from the parks and that sort of thing, and to put that on video doesn't really make a whole lot of sense because it's audio recording. So I may kind of morph this live stream here into front-loading it with, all the news like we do, and then maybe one other little segment, a review or something else, and then we'll stop it there, and you can listen to the rest of it on the audio version. Maybe that'll work out well. So that is about it for our live stream this week. I'm going to go finish up our audio version of show 320 of Inside the Magic. I'll have that online within half an hour probably. Maybe an hour at the most. And so you can download that over at InsideTheMagic.net as well. And thank you to everybody who tuned in once again. I think, you never know which weeks I'm going to have time to do this. Today I had a little bit of extra time. I'm glad you enjoy Gonzo over here holding his lightsaber, wearing his Star Tours Mickey ears, and this is actually my new opening day Star Tours shirt that I just picked up yesterday. So Star Tours is officially open out here at Disney's Hollywood Studios. I do encourage you to go ride it. It's a whole lot of fun. And then June 3rd is the official opening out in California. So thanks everybody for tuning into this live stream. We'll try to do it again next week. And that's about it. Thanks again.